So look, just tell us the challenges, I guess, Barry, that are facing car makers with this commonality of connectivity across all the different markets.
So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for taking a bit of time to listen to me. I think the big challenge that Cubic found coming in to deal with the automotive companies is twofold. So one is that we saw that the automotive companies were a metal press company, and they were doing that for 100, 120 years, and they're now moving into the software age. So moving into software, the speed, the cycles are a lot quicker, and then the laws and regulations based on software connectivity in each market changes. So the one thing that we've seen is just because you connect a car here in Ireland, the laws and regulations are different in the UK, they are different in Germany, and then you go into a tricky country like the UAE. So I think the one thing that you see is that automotive companies are a global company, but there's no global connectivity platform or global connectivity company like Aircom or like EE. So they use roaming services. And I think when car manufacturers started originally, they used a SIM card, they put that in, and that roaming service started giving like simple telematics solutions. But if you listen to the like of what Pim was saying or Simon was saying, now the consumption of data is extremely fast. It's huge amounts of data, but they need it really, really quickly. So I think the big challenges that companies have now is to get that data back either into the cloud or back into their IT infrastructure really, really quickly. And the only way to do that is by doing local connectivity and local solutions. So that's what the challenge that Cubic took on, was to create a fabric of local operators that transits that data back to either the cloud or to your IT center extremely quickly. So what we did is we created a platform, and now we create a local identity for every network operator that we sit on. So the likes of Verizon in the US, in the UK, EE. So when that car goes in, it's not roaming. We can transit that data back in real time extremely quickly. And then we can do some really clever things with that type of data. So we can do split billing, we can give you Spotify, or we can give somebody else Pandora, we can give it in real-time access. You saw as well about downloads, so software downloads. We can do off-peak downloads, so when the network is not busy between 12 p.m. and 6 a.m., so when the offloads are there. So there's real clever things happening with data. But these are the challenges that the automotive industry is having, is that there's not one solution provider that you can just go and plug into for connectivity.
Now that data has to be reliable, that connectivity has to be reliable. How are you going to ensure that you don't get just a break?
So, two things. So I think the one thing about the auto industry is they all want 5 nines. So the one thing you go in is they want SLA agreements. I think the one thing that they've seen is that there's no SLA agreements behind a roaming service because it's best efforts. So now you have a software company, a metal press company, and a telecoms company, and whose fault is it? So that's the first breakdown. I think the one thing that we've seen is we've joined partners with the likes of Microsoft. So we got to speak recently with Satya Nadella back in 2016. So we've worked very closely with the executive team to make sure that the cloud solution that we're using with Azure, that there's no breakout to the public internet. So the big thing that we see is that, especially for automotive companies, is security. One of our investors is Qualcomm, the largest chip company in the world. So the big thing that we hear in every room we walk into is security. How can it be hacked? How can people get into it? So working with real global partners that have a real big security force behind them or in their roadmap, the likes of Microsoft, the likes of Qualcomm, is ensuring that Cubic is partnering with the best mobile operators to create that secure connection end to end. So the one thing that we offer is no breakout to the public internet in any stage. So for us, we transit everything back to a private core, and that's encrypted either through either the SIM card technology that we use, which is a software solution, or through the chipset that's provided by the likes of Qualcomm or somebody else.
And what level of kind of accuracy and security can you guarantee? Is it 95%? Is it 98%?
So the one thing is you stand on stage or you sit on stage and someone asks you a question like that and you'll be proved wrong tomorrow on Twitter or Facebook. So let's not give a stat, but one thing I will say to you is, so we have about 65 operators connected into our platform. So that fabric is the likes of Verizon, we've like KT Telecom in Korea, and we're transiting all that back. The one thing that we've been able to show the likes of Qualcomm, Microsoft, And our biggest customers to date is that we haven't had one breach yet.
Not one.
Not one breach. Okay, but again, look who our partners are. It's the best mobile operator in that country, or multiple operators in that country. And the one thing that we're trying to do is create flexibility. And the way we do that is looking at new types of service, like an add to bill function, so that you don't want another bill for your vehicle. So we're patenting a solution now that you can just add your bill to any operator anywhere in the world. So there's all real clever types of solutions, but it all goes around one word, which is security.
And how seamless is this going to be? Because I've got a car at the moment where I can go on the internet, but every time I start it up, I have to program that connectivity button, set it all up for it to go live. This needs to be a much more seamless process, doesn't it? And when you go from region to region, you don't want to have to keep resetting it, and consumers just won't do that, and they'll resist.
So, excellent question. So, two things. So, we're really known in the market at the moment for our work with the Volkswagen Group. Okay, and that's an area of where we have the likes of Audi that you've seen outside. You've got Bentley, we've got Lamborghini, we've got now Seat, we're launching VW. So for us, the whole idea is they had 155 production plants around the world. Okay, and to do a connected car program, they needed to deal with about 60 mobile operators and probably about 4 or 5 different module providers. So now you have the likes of Continental, you have Gemalto, you have Verizon, AT&T, you have everybody in the room. And that's about 60 line items on the production line. Along came Cubic, and we reduced that down to 2. So we created a software solution, one for rest of the world in Europe, and then one separately for China. So we simplified their manufacturing process, and we took out 58 SKUs, or 58 numbers from their production line. And then the simple thing that we do is we created a software that when that car is manufactured either in Germany or Malaysia, we give it a local identity while it's on that production line. They can do their tests on it. And when that car then is shipped off to another country, we automatically remote provision that through our network to a local subscription or a local management solution there. You only ever have to register that car once if you want B2C services. And what we call B2B services is like Spotify, Wi-Fi in the car or something else. And these are massive, complex challenges that auto industry just don't want to deal with. They just want to be able to, as you call it, a plug and play. So we've been able to show in a B2B service for the production how we can solve that, and then for simple solutions for the likes of Wi-Fi, Spotify, or other types of solutions, which is going to be key in the autonomous driving going forward, because you're going to be bored sitting in the car.
Yeah.
So you need to have new types of services. So I think the one thing that we've seen is operators never were connectivity providers on a global scale, and now that you're putting a car in, they need multiple APNs. So the module in the car needs to be able to give multiple services to either the passengers or the people sitting in the back of the car. And operators never thought like that. So now it's now changing that whole landscape of how can we give multiple services. And the one thing that we saw was very, very clever that we gave information back to the marketing team of the Volkswagen Group is their number 1 market was Germany, the number 2 was the UK for sales, and the number 3 was France. But we were able to show them information like a car journey is normally 11 hours a day. So from the time you leave your house to the time you go back, it's 11 hours. But in the UK, we showed them that there were 20% shorter journeys than them that were happening in France. And then we showed them that the people in France were using 2 times more data than the guys in the UK because they were using more connected experiences. This is real-time information that the marketing teams could get really, really quickly and then focus their energies on key messages in all those markets or the different types of markets. So having connectivity is a massive, massive challenge, but it's a massive benefit either to the sales organizations or to different types of organizations. We talked about ride sharing earlier. I think Pim did it. One thing that we're doing is we're working with Toyota now, and we've just done 30 vehicles up in Dublin that have a ride-sharing program, all connected by Cubic. We've partnered with Microsoft as well on this. And then we're able to give real-time information of where the car is. We offer free parking. You can use this either for your salespeople or you can use it as an added bonus, because in the tech industry, a lot of foreign nationals we have working for ourselves. So they come in, they don't have a vehicle. We have 28 different nationalities working with us. So now we have a ride-share program partnered with Toyota and Microsoft that people can use this. So I think the whole landscape is changing, but the one thing that the automotive industry forgot about was connectivity, because they thought you'd just stick a SIM card in it. Now you have laws and regulations in each market, and the autonomous vehicles have laws and regulations. So now the 2 axes are coming across one another.
And is there going to be higher costs to consumers for this degree of connectivity?
If you ask an operator, the biggest challenge they have is everybody thinks connectivity should be free.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge. I think the difference is nobody has a problem paying for something that's secure and safe. So I think it has to be broken down in 2 different ways. I look at it that you shouldn't have to pay for connectivity, but you should have to pay for your application. So nobody in the room here knows how much data that they used this morning on their handset, but you do know the applications that you were using.
Yep.
So you were looking at RTE News, you were looking at Facebook, or you were looking at something else. That's an application consumption, and you're very comfortable to pay for the consumption of that application. So I think that's the way you will see the mindsets. I think the operators have a challenge because you just pay for your flat rate data bundle, but I think for autonomous vehicles and IoT devices, it's going to be application based, and then you will then also be charged for security.
And give me an idea of what sort of value connectivity, to the degree you're talking about, could add to the kind of life cycle of the car for the enjoyment of the consumer, and the technological problems.
So two things. So we saw that when we connected cars originally, our first stab at that, we started off with laptops, tablets with the likes of HP, Lenovo, and Panasonic, and we did that on a global basis. And we saw that, first of all, that when a computer connects, we'd say connect 100,000 devices at manufacturing level. We would see probably about 25% of those devices would connect in a monthly basis. Now you go to a car, if we put out 100,000 cars, we will see 100,000 of those cars connect within a 30-day period. So the car connects. So the upside for us is it's a volume-based business for us. It's a revenue generator for us. I think the big thing for us is we moved in 2014. Tesla came to us and they had an issue in China of breaking into the Chinese market. So we sat around with Elon Musk. We got lucky enough to meet with him and his executive team, and we looked at how we could create a market for them in China. We launched just shy of 8,000 vehicles in China. And because of the laws and regulations in China and electrical vehicles, connectivity has to be mandatory by the government there to check on the battery. We were seeing about 1.6 to 2 gigabytes per month per vehicle back in 2014. And we see a normally aspirated vehicle at about 200 megabytes. So you can see that the mindset of the automotive companies are really, really changing. And then laws and regulations, again, I keep mentioning laws and regulations come in because in China they want to have the battery, they want to know what the health of the battery is, and that has to be connected to a governmental server at all times. So there's an RTM function that they call that they ping all the time to say what the battery quality is like. So you're going to see that connectivity really is a massive fabric in the automotive industry going forward in relation not just to autonomous driving, but very much about electrical vehicles.
All right, well look, thank you very much, Barry.
No.
Very well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you.